It's not a picture. Got him. Road trip 2000. What year is this?
2018.
2018. 2018, Z?
18. 20.
All right.
2018.
Yeah. Road trip. About to take the kids back home. You know, the summer's over. Y'all know Junior staying with me, so he at the house being lazy. But we gonna fix that because he definitely gonna be putting in some work when I get back home. But we headed to Chicago and
finally in the front seat.
Zylan made it. He in the front seat. Now Junior always sit in the front seat, but he's gone, so now Zylan in the front seat.
Next year.
Next year? Yeah, it's gonna be Tiasha next year.
Oh, man.
Say what's up, Z? Say what's up, Z? Oh, 10 years. You got a couple more years, but we about to get on this road, man, and you know, get my kids up to the shy. What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Ziggy Doom bringing y'all another video to my channel. Welcome all. As you guys can see, I kind of changed up the format for this vlog. I decided to narrate over the videos as opposed to editing the videos and letting you guys hear those. I want to recap this summer 2018. Let me start off by saying this has been the most challenging summer ever with my children. Very, very challenging. And I think what it is, man, I think as my children have gotten older, they have grown more into their personalities, and they're all so unique and so different that, you know, sometimes their personalities will clash or have a bunch of, you know, disputes because they see things differently. And as they, you know, get older and, you know, more of their personalities show, they start to not necessarily go their separate ways, but kind of, you know, veer off their own little paths. And, you know, sometimes when someone doesn't see things the way you see them, you may see that as challenging or threatening or even an insult. And we had a lot of that this summer, a lot of that. But overall, you know, first of all, let me say this. There is no perfect way of parenting, right? Like, we all may think the way we parent is the right way, and if you do it any other way, it's wrong or it's not efficient or it's bad, you know. But there really is no perfect way to parent children, right? We kind of learn as we go along, or we use our upbringing as a baseline to raise our kids. Like, you know, if you grew up in a household where there was a lot of vulgarity and a lot of, you know, maybe hitting, you know, whoopings per se, then you may tend to think that that is the best way to raise your child. Or, you know, maybe you grew up in a household that, you know, there were a lot of drugs and a lot of people in and out of your house. So you may think that that is, you know, normal and accepted. So you may raise your kids around that. But ultimately, there really is no perfect way to raise our children, right? We teach them right from wrong, and we, you know, want them to learn from their experiences, and we also give them advice based off our experiences, and we kind of hope for the best. But, you know, we know that there are kids that, you know, were brought up in a two-parent household, you know, decent income, and they still grow up and kind of, you know, maybe fall off the wagon or may not be a model person or whatever, and vice versa. You know, a child can grow up in a household that was very violent and anger-filled and negative, and they can grow up and be a positive person. So a lot of people, you know, may see that the way you raise your children is wrong, and they may criticize it or you know, view it as a negative thing. So with that being said, I raise my children based off of my experiences and what I believe, you know, works. So I'm not a fan of vulgarity. I'm not a fan of screaming, and I don't, you know, hit my children, because I don't think that is an effective way to get the point across to my children. I don't want my children to fear me. I want them to respect me. And some people don't know the difference, you know, as opposed to talking to your child and getting to understanding that way, when you can just, you know what, hit them or scream at them. And yeah, it is you need a little bit more patience with the talking to and withholding privileges way. But I think it works if you have enough diligence and you are willing to put forth that effort. It may not always work. Kids respond to different things, but I'm just not a fan of hitting my children. Okay. So some people will agree with that. Some people will disagree. To each their own. But for me, I don't support it. Now, another thing I want to clear up, when I say, I'm a single parent, what that means is I live alone, and when I have my children there with me, it's me and them, okay? I don't want anyone to think that my children's other halves don't contribute or don't, share the burden of the responsibility with my children. That's not the case. My children's other halves play their roles and run their households accordingly. Okay, let's just get that clear. And with that being said, single parenting is very, very difficult. It is not a job or a chore. It is a commitment, or it's a mandatory obligation you have to your children to be a single parent. Being a parent, I'm sorry. And being a single parent is very difficult, because you want to make sure that you are able to give your kids everything they need and require, and you want to be there for the assistance. But when you have a 2-parent household, it's just so much easier because you can always give that child another side or another point of view from the child's other half. And that definitely makes it easier. But single parenting is challenging, but it's also rewarding, because when you look at your child from a baby to, an adult, and you see how they have your influence on them, how it impacted them, it is rewarding. I'm not gonna say kind of. It's very rewarding. My son, he's an adult now. And I've been in his life since he was a baby, and I never did a lot of the cursing around him. I wasn't very hostile. I didn't do a lot of screaming. There were no drugs at all around him, and now he's an adult now, and he sees that you don't need to be around drugs or do a lot of cursing and screaming, and you can still be, you can still prosper. So I think the best way to raise my children is to kind of lead by example. I'm not perfect, but I try to lead by example, and we go from there. But yeah, this summer has been challenging, man, with my children. It has definitely been an experience, one that I definitely learned from, and I hope to do better next year for my children. And we'll go from there. They're back in school now. They all are back in their respective schools, and the summer is over. So, but we overall we enjoyed it. I think my children enjoyed it. As they, like I said earlier, as they grow into their personalities, they tend to clash a little bit more. But at the end of the day, sibling rivalries are pretty common. It's not something that just doesn't happen. We've all debated, disagreed, argued with our siblings, said things to our siblings that we don't mean. And I understand that. So when that kind of stuff happens, you just have to adapt and adjust accordingly, And there's no sense in pointing the finger, oh, this is the reason, that is the reason. Sometimes it's a whole bunch of reasons, culminated into one. And you have to address it that way. You can't just assume it's always one person's fault or always the other person's fault. You have to actually get to the root of the cause and resolve it. I don't like to just leave problems be, let them linger, especially when it comes to my children. I like to figure out the problem and resolve it in a mature and intelligent manner. I don't like to just say, oh, well, that's what it is, leave it as that, And as I said before, man, a lot of people are not going to agree or see eye to eye with my choices. But at the end of the day, I have to live with them, and I can do that. Okay, you guys, that's it for this narrative. Thanks y'all for watching. As always, like, share, and subscribe. I got that mixtape coming out, soon. Then I got the album coming out. But until then, man, be easy. And thank y'all for watching this video.